This offseason has been nothing short of crazy, with players moving to different teams in order to contend, new coaching updates, and injury concerns. I'm going to be breaking it down here today for you on the Fantasy R&D channel. Starting off strong here with A.J. Brown. Obviously, we all know he has gone to the Patriots. This is a smash win for him in fantasy aspects. He's pretty much been on a Philadelphia Eagles team the past couple of years that is not a pass-first minded offense. At least it has not been in the past couple of seasons. Obviously, they have absolutely loved the tush push. So A.J. Brown going to the Patriots with an amazing quarterback like Drake May is something that we absolutely love to see for fantasy perspectives. Also, think that Drake May is going to be benefiting from this as well. I mean, the dude was pretty much throwing to Keyshawn Butte last season, Hunter Henry. I mean, these are guys that were serviceable, but it was nothing in comparison to a guy like A.J. Brown. I also have Romeo Doubs up here on the screen, as we obviously know that he's also gone from Green Bay over to the Patriots. So that's going to be pretty much your wide receiver 1 and 2 there. I'm not really concerned about any of the receiving threats from last season, eating any of the touches from these two guys. I think this is pretty much going to be your 1-2 punch in New England, and both these guys are going to be able to feast. Obviously, I think A.J. Brown is going to be the number one of this. I think he's going to be getting around 1,100 yards this upcoming season. I think Drake May is going to be absolutely able to feast. I will say, as a little asterisk to this, though, the Patriots have a much tougher schedule in 2026 than they did in 2025. 2025, they were one of the easiest. Now they're about a middle-of-the-road team. So Vegas obviously is projecting their lines are going to be not as good as we're all thinking, but I think if anyone is safe in this wide receiver room, it is A.J. Brown by a mile. I think he's going to absolutely eat. We're seeing him going like in the third round. I think that's highly warranted. In all reality, if you can pick him up there late in the third and then snag Drake May later when he falls to you in like the sixth round, seventh round, eighth round, somewhere in there, I think that's an amazing stack. Not always for stacks, as it can be boom or bust but whenever they boom, it is a massive upside for your fantasy teams on that week, and you're pretty much guaranteed to win. And I can almost guarantee you that A.J. Brown is going to be feasting on this new team. Going over to Luther Burden here. This dude has been absolutely a monster this offseason. Obviously, we saw the breakout last year in the last couple of weeks of the season, and then going into the first 2 weeks of the postseason where the Bears played. This dude was an absolute freak. Was absolutely balling out, going absolutely nuts. But the thing is, the coaching staff, we had to realize they are talking this man up like crazy. The coach pretty much is saying, if you have Ben Johnson saying, I'm buying Luther Burden stock right now. If you're not already in, you need to get in right now. Obviously, I think a lot of the receiving threats in this room, Roma Dunze, Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, all these guys are heavily talented. Caleb Williams is a quarterback that can feed them the ball and can get them to, these elite numbers. But I think Luther Burden is going to be the number one beneficiary of that. Vegas kind of has all their lines fairly similar right now. They do have Luther Burden on top as the number one. I would say that I would have Luther Burden as my number one guy in that offense, but I wouldn't fault you if you say, you know what, I'm going with Roma Dunze, I'm going with a Colston Loveland, because those are just the guys that are maybe falling to me. However, on that note, Colston Love is not necessarily going to fall to you as he's going as a top tight end 3 off the board. It's going to be a very expensive price. However, Roma Dunes is going to be extremely cheap. Luther Burden is going to be kind of somewhere in the middle there for you, kind of around that Emeka Egbuka price. And in all reality, I think he can kind of be that first half of the last season's Emeka Egbuka and carry that throughout this season as long as he's able to stay healthy. Obviously, this is a Bears team that is very good. I think they're going to be continuing to do that. In order to do so, they're going to be needing to pepper guys like Luther Burden and have their offense flowing through a guy like that in order to succeed, which I think they will in this upcoming season. Isaiah Likely. We're getting off those guys that obviously everyone knows Luther Burden is going to be good. Obviously, everyone knows A.J. Brown's going to be good. Isaiah Likely, though, I want to bring up maybe as a sleeper. With the New York Giants, we obviously had a little bit of a coaching change. We have Matt Nagy coming into New York, which is kind of a run-first-minded guy. So you may be saying, why is Isaiah Likely going to be benefiting from this? We've obviously, in the past, Matt Nagy loves the run game. So very first and foremost, Cam Scadaboot is going to be eating. But whenever he's out there, they're going to be needing at least 2 tight ends to kind of run a blocking formation for him. And who's going to be that tight end out on the field? It's going to be Isaiah Likely. I don't think they're going to necessarily be throwing the ball as much as we are expecting. Jackson Dart has even tweeted, and here I quote, "It sounds like we're not going to be throwing the ball a lot. We're going to keep giving it to Cam Scadaboot until they can stop it." I don't think they're going to be able to stop it, and I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball a whole lot either. I think it's going to be pretty much Cam Scatterbo up the gut, and maybe on a check down, we're going to be getting some Isaiah Likely action. We have never truly seen a good or serviceable, even tight end attached to Jackson Dart as he has just emerged. And I think Isaiah Likely has shown flashes when he was in Baltimore of being a successful tight end in the league. And I think once he's getting attached to a guy like Jackson Dart, this guy's going to be the limit for him. Obviously, we also have Malik Neighbors going down in this offseason. He's kind of having a lot of injury concerns, as I talked about in one of my last videos. I'm very hesitant on where his price is right now. So they need ball catchers in New York. And who's going to be the number one beneficiary of that? We're going to have a guy like Isaiah Likely here. Chris Rodriguez, again, another guy that you may not necessarily be thinking along with the upper echelon guys like Luther Burden, but we need to talk about him here. Obviously, this offseason, he's gone from the Commanders to the Jaguars last season with the Commanders. He was pretty good. However, he did go down with injury. He had a left foot procedure in this offseason. It seems like a minor injury, though. I do want to comment. And what the coaching staff has said in Jacksonville, it seems like he's going to be a full participant in training camp, which is going to be happening later towards July. So I think he's going to be good to go. In all reality, though, who's going to be the starting running back? Is it going to be Chris Rodriguez? Is it going to be, Bashal Tutin? Everyone seems to think it's going to be Bashal Tutin right now. In all reality, I think it's going to be more of a split backfield where you're not necessarily liking either of the guys in a fantasy perspective. Kind of similar to what we see, in Detroit, except Detroit's actually a very good running game, or maybe in Broncos land and in Denver. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Jonah Coleman coming in. Who do you like to start every week? Pretty much no one. If J.K. Dobbins is healthy, we're putting him in, but that's not necessarily ever the case. We're never going to truly know who is our guy week to week. And what that tells me is you can't really trust anyone from a fantasy perspective. So even though we have a guy like Chris Rodriguez, who was pretty serviceable with the Commanders last season, as JCM was kind of buns, I don't think he's going to be getting any better this offseason or in the next upcoming 2026 year. Even though he's coming into a pretty wide open room, I don't think there's going to be anything tremendous for him. I think he's going to have a little bit of an uptick, as I'm not super high on Bashal Tutin. I don't think that this dude is like, the next Travis Etienne for the Jaguars is going to be an absolute monster for them. I think in all reality, they could be splitting, runs. They could be splitting drives. Who's getting the red zone targets or the carries in the red zone? Who's getting the target? That's going to really determine who's eating fantasy-wise. And I could truly see that going either way. So neither one of these guys I'm really necessarily high on. I don't fault you, though, if you want to take Chris Rodriguez, as he's going extremely late in drafts at this point, whereas Bashal Tutin is going as like a top 24, 30 running back off the board. People are extremely high on him. I'm definitely pumping the brakes there. I'm hesitant on Chris Rodriguez, but in all reality, as we're monitoring this injury and as we continue to go throughout the offseason, we'll be keeping you updated here. So we just want to be maintaining that. And while I'm on the topic, I just want to comment that we had a goal of reaching 50 subscribers before the start of week 1 in September. We've already smashed that goal, so thank you so much if you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. And if you're still enjoying the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, all that. I'm setting a new goal. We're saying double it. We're going to be getting to 100 before the start of week 1 in September. I think it's more, likely than not, very possible for this fan base to be able to do that. I really appreciate all the love and support we've been getting here on the Fantasy R&D channel. I'd love to be keeping that train going strong. Going over to R.J. Harvey here, I kind of alluded to it with the Chris Rodriguez take of the Denver Broncos just have so many cooks in the kitchen with the running back position. Who do we ever want to trust? Really none of them in all reality. On top of that fact, R.J. Harvey has suffered a torn labrum in this offseason. Looking at the statistics here, like I love to do on the Fantasy R&D channel, he's recently undergone surgery for a torn labrum in his shoulder, which was actually in the AFC Championship game, which we just came to find out in this offseason against the New England Patriots. So, we also had Bo Nix go down during that game with the ankle. Now we're finding out R.J. Harvey had some concerns, just got this thing torn, sewn up on the surgery table. So we don't know what his timeline is going to be like right now. In all reality, I think he's going to be good to go for training camp. I don't think this is anything super serious. But we have to remember this. He's getting banged up at this point on a team where he's not necessarily the guy. Sean Payton has said this offseason that he needs to bolster the running game. That was obviously before he re-signed J.K. Dobbins, so they could have been alluding to we need to get this guy back on the squad. But when I hear that, I hear, look, there's no real guy in this room that I'm in love with. And whenever he said that, on top of this, with the RJ Harvey take, RJ Harvey was still in the squad when he said we need to bolster our run game. So he obviously knows that RJ Harvey's not going to be the guy for him. So at this point, I'm saying, look, they just took a guy like Jonah Coleman too, who can effectively replace RJ Harvey's position on this team. Why am I investing in a guy like RJ Harvey then? At the prices that he's going at. He was obviously a fun pick last year, a fun experiment. But at this point, I am just getting completely out on a guy like RJ Harvey. Then rounded out here, we got Breece Hall. Let me know what you think. This is a lot shorter video than the ones I usually put out, but trying some new stuff here on the Fantasy R&D channel. Breece Hall, a guy that I'm pumping the brakes on. I've talked about him a lot in this offseason. I'm never super high on him as he's on a pitiful Jets team that pretty much is never doing good. They haven't not really done anything this offseason to make me think that they're going to be getting any better. Obviously, Kenyon City coming in, Omar Cooper coming in. The receiving game is going to be getting up, but the quarterback that's throwing to these receivers isn't necessarily any better. Breece Hall, though, obviously we know he's an amazing running back, could be a top 10 running back if he was on a good team. We saw that there was rumors that he was be going to the Chiefs last year, and from there we were like, oh wow, this is going to be really make or break for Breece Hall's career. Is going to be accelerating and taking leaps and bounds forward athletically and in his career. None of that happened. He signs a 3-year extension with the Jets. Pretty much miserable for all fantasy owners with him. On top of this fact, we hear this offseason that Braylon Allen is up 250 pounds from where he was and at his lowest body fat percentage ever. Pretty much looks like Derrick Henry at this point, and it seems like the coaching staff has come out and said that they want to have a three-headed backfield, three-headed monster in New York. So this is not good news to my ears if you are a Breece Hall owner or a guy that's looking to invest in Breece Hall. They're going to be going with him, Braylon Allen, and some other guy. I don't even want to mention on this channel because it's the Jets and it's a 3 running back system. It's going to be pathetic. So Breece Hall, we need to be really understanding that this guy is not worth your RB2 position. And at that, he's going at the RB14, RB15 in drafts. That is honestly pathetic for where he's going to finish. Every year he finishes as an RB2. Not necessarily the price you're drafting him at, right? You're hoping for that upside, and we're never going to necessarily be seeing that with an offense like the Jets. So let me know what you think with Breece Hall, and let me know what you think with all these guys on this video. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, as we're trying to hit 100 subscribers for week 1. I appreciate you making out here with me to do with the R&D.